I went from being able to focus for 1 hour every single day, seeing no progress in my business, not making a penny online, to being able to focus and get into a flow state for 6 to 8 hours every single day. And I've helped several people get into this focus flow state just like myself and really skyrocket their progress in their business. And I hate to say this, but waking up at 4 a.m. or using the Pomodoro technique or chugging like 5 coffees in the morning is not going to get you into a flow state. And after reading tons of books on productivity, watching tons of podcasts, and having to, experiment with so many different things, I finally figured out the 3 simple actions that will skyrocket your productivity, allow you to get into this focus flow state for more than 6 hours every single day so you can progress in your business 10 times faster. You see, around 11 months ago, I was sitting at my desk with this microphone right in front of me. And in front of me, there's this entrepreneur making more than 10k per month while I'm making 0. So I'm looking at the monitor, I'm looking at this guy. We're basically polar opposites. He's successful, I'm not successful. He's rich, I'm broke, right? So I'm doing my best to pick this guy's brain because clearly he's smart, He knows what he's doing, he knows how to run a business, and I don't. Because at this time, I was still this 16-year-old loser. I was still this loser that played video games all day, that still had many addictions. But my biggest goal by far at this moment in my life when I was 16 years old was to run a successful business. It was to see a bit of success in the business. I've seen all these Instagram lifestyle, the laptop lifestyle, right? And I basically dedicated my entire life to this. Other than my handful of addictions that I had, I dedicated my entire life to trying to build my business. So what I do next is I look this guy in the eye and I say, why am I not successful yet? I've been working for 6 months, I've been doing all this work, I've been trying to make money online, but I just can't. Why am I not successful yet? And I'm not joking when I say this. He doesn't say anything, he just laughs. And at that moment, I'm on the edge. I'm waiting for this guy to just spill the beans, spill like the one secret that is going to allow me to just hit 10k per month right after this call, right? And what he says will probably shock you, but he tells me, I'm not working hard enough. That is the only reason why you're not getting success. And he was completely right. Because at this moment, I was only working for 2 hours a day, trying to make 10k per month, having that expectation, while he was working for 10 hours a day, and he was making 10k per month. There was a clear difference, right? And even though coming out of that call, I didn't have the fancy outreach method, I didn't have the fancy funnel that was going to allow me to get to 10k per month much faster, I came out knowing exactly what my constraint was. And this is the exact same constraint you have right now. Because I realized something that day. Productivity, specifically getting into a flow state, is your only constraint. It was my only constraint. Because it's literally just cause and effect. The more inputs you put into the world, the better outputs you get. And most people underestimate the power of a focused flow state. Because when you're in this flow state, 5 hours of work turns into 30 minutes. You can literally get an entire week's worth of work done in 5 hours. This is the power of a focused flow state. The first thing I want to say to you is the modern productivity advice you hear on a daily basis, the Pomodoro technique, waking up at 4 a.m, this David Goggins lifestyle, it's not good. It's actually killing your productivity and allowing you not to get into this focused flow state. It's so many people talk about the Pomodoro technique, all this garbage. But what people don't realize is it takes 25 minutes to actually get into a focused flow state, around 25 to 28 minutes, right? And what happens is when you work for 25 minutes and you just have a break, you don't get into the focused flow state, you reset the timer. And this is why most people never get anything done, and this is why the Pomodoro technique doesn't work anymore. And by the way, I do just want to say, if you want to get into a flow state for 8 hours every single day, by getting full one-to-one support from me, for free, and getting a ton of free resources, click the first link in the description to join my free community, okay? And now you know that all the productivity advice is garbage. What the hell is the focused flow state? Well, the flow state can be defined as something when you're in a state of such concentration it's impossible to get distracted. And to get into this flow state, there's 3 principles you need to master. The first fundamental you must master if you want to get into a flow state is understanding that inducing flow is about the balance between the level of skill and the size of the challenge at hand. You see, if you want to get into this state of uninterrupted focus, then you need to make sure the difficulty of the task is on the same skill level as yourself. Because what happens is, when a task is too difficult for us, we start to feel anxious, we start to feel overwhelmed. And when that happens, we start to procrastinate, we start to run to distractions, right? But on the other end of the spectrum, when the task is too easy, we start to feel bored, and then we start to run to distractions as well. So this is why you need to make sure the level of the difficulty of the task is the same as your skills. If the task is too difficult for you, there's a simple thing that I want you to do, and it's mentioned in the book Atomic Habits. It's called a 2-minute rule. But basically what you need to do is set a timer for 2 minutes and say you're going to work. So you're going to do like 2 outreaches in your business. Maybe you're going to work on your content, right? After those 2 minutes is done, you're going to set another 2-minute timer, and maybe you're going to set a 5 5-minute timer, and you're gonna do the same thing. If you can actually see yourself focusing and you see the task is pretty easy, but that means it's on the same skill level as you. But if you set a 2-minute timer and you find yourself getting distracted, you need to lower the difficulty. Maybe you work for less time. Maybe you split your work into smaller chunks, but above 25 minutes, because like I said, it takes 25 minutes to get into a flow. But the main part is you need to make sure you choose tasks that are familiar to you, but still have a challenge. And that makes it, stimulating enough to keep going, but not too boring to just get distracted. And the second principle, I won't spend that much time on this because I've already mentioned this and it's pretty short, but you need to make sure you're working for at least 25 or 28 minutes before you get into a flow. And this is why the Pomodoro technique doesn't work. This is why setting a timer for, smaller periods of time, obviously, like I mentioned in my videos, the goal contingencies, that works because that's just about building the habit. But when you're trying to get like the pure deep focus work done, the intensity, you need to make sure you're setting timers above that time. So I like to set timers for like 45 minutes, 1 hour, and I use this special software called Rise, which I'll link in the description. But I like to set a timer for that time because that means I'm getting at least like half an hour of deep focus work in this flow state. So that's something you can quickly just make a tweak in your routine, in your focus, in your productivity, right? Now, the last principle to get into a focus flow state for longer periods of time so you can really progress in your business, make money online, is making sure you have clarity on the reward of the task. Literally just ask yourself, what will you gain from doing the task? And the reason why this is so powerful is because your brain is very lazy. It's naturally lazy. It takes the path of least resistance. Maybe if you run an ad for your business, you're getting clients, right? You're getting calls booked. That is a positive ROI because that's going to lead to money made in the future. You just need to make sure you have a clear goal and tasks you're doing, and I try not to make this materialistic like money, but like for example with outreach, you get better at sales, you get better at communicating. When you make content, you get better at speaking, because when your mind sees a value in a task, it's more likely to do it. Why do you think people are addicted to video games? It's not really because of the video games are fun, it's because the video games trick your brain into thinking you're making progress in your real life. But if we do the same things when we're working on a business, that's when we're going to start to work way harder and we can get into this flow state much easily. So what I want you to do is just grab a journal, grab a piece of paper, write on Notion or something. What is the value of the task you're doing? Like, list all the tasks you normally do in a day. Maybe it's working on content marketing, running ads, making a sales page, whatever you do, like the client work, right? I want you to write down the benefits of doing these tasks, the value that you get out of them. And when you constantly read that to yourself and you do this as affirmations, you start to see the value of a task and you'll start to do it more often. And when you do a task more often, that's when it starts to become a habit, and that's when you can really get into a flow state because you actually enjoy the task you're doing. These are the 3 principles that I did, that I put into my life, that allowed me to get into a focused flow state for 4 to 6 hours a day, 10 hours a day sometimes, and it really skyrocketed my success in my business. And I guarantee it will do the same for you. And like I said at the start, if you want to really scale your business, but you can't get into a flow state and you have no time to work on your business, and you want to learn exactly how I get into a focused flow state for 10 hours a day and how I've helped several people do the same by getting full one-to-one support from me for completely for free and getting a ton of free resources, click the first link in the description to join my free community. Okay, goodbye, have a great day. Make sure you do all these actionable steps and you're gonna get Elwin in the face again. Goodbye. Whoa.